Dito sa video na ito ay ipapakita namin sa iyo kabayan ang dalawang video na kami man ay ngayon lang din nakita ito at nasagot ang mga katanungang bumabagabag sa aming isipan. Sa unang video na ito ay makikita mo ang dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. na binabakbakan at pinapakain ng diretsahang mga salita ang bansang Amerika at ang mga Amerikano. Tila pinagsasampal niya ang mga ito ng katotohanan na talaga namang kahit ang taong pinakamakapal ang mukha ay magninipis ang balat nito at matutunaw sa kahihiyan. Ito kaya ang dahilan kung bakit tumulong ang Amerika kay Cory upang mapabagsak ang kanyang administrasyon. Dahil kasi dito ay maliwanag sa mga binitawang salita ni Apulakay na hindi makahawakan ng Amerika sa leeg ang Pilipinas hanggat siya ang nakaupong presidente ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Narito ang video ating panoorin.
It is not. We have never talked about figures.
Louder and clearer.
The question was, is it correct that we have demanded 2 billion in the rent? The answer is no. We haven't quoted any figure. What we have asked is this. We want a study. What is it that is necessary in order that we can perform our job? You and I know that if the Philippines is attacked, the United States is not necessarily bound to immediately react because the provision of the Mutual Defense Pact is that you will immediately take steps as is necessary to meet the contingency in accordance with your constitutional processes. What does that mean? That means that you go to the Senate and the House of Representatives. What does that mean? That means delay while we are dying there. For one thing, you haven't exactly paid for what we lost in the last war. If we must make an accounting, 75% of our cities were devastated in the last war. We lost 1 million men. Shall I quote you the statements of Roosevelt and MacArthur that every Carabao will be paid for? Shall I tell you that the veterans who were inducted into the USAF, the United States Armed Forces of the Philippines, of the Far East, your armed forces, were paid only 1/2 the salary of your soldiers? Shall I tell you that we almost turned communists because you refused to recognize us? Shall I tell you that I had a difficult time stopping my guerrillas, 25,000 of them from joining the communists, because precisely you sort of forgot that we had done the fighting for you, you know, and we were parts of your armed force.
Bago natin talakayin ang nilalaman ng susunod na video kabayan, ay maaari bang makahingi kami ng isang like sa video na ito at pindutin mo na din ang subscribe button kung bago ka pa lang sa channel na ito. Samantala naman sa talumpati niya na ito ay tinalakay niya na wala naman siyang kapangyarihang magdeklara ng batas militar kundi kailangan pa niyang humingi ng pahintulot mula sa Korte Suprema. Kung hindi kasi binigyan ng karapatan o pahintulot ng Korte Suprema ay hindi siya makakapagdeklara ng batas militar noon. Ibig sabihin lang nito, sinunod niya ang mga batas na nakapalibot sa pagdedeklara ng isang batas militar. Taliwas sa isinasaksak ng mga dilawan sa ating mga isipan na si Ferdinand Marcos Sr. ay isang diktator at siya lamang sa kanyang pansariling kagustuhan kaya siya nagdeklara ng batas militar upang hindi siya mapatalsik sa pwesto. Narito ang video ating panoorin.
You know, when I proclaimed martial law, I didn't proclaim martial law alone. It is made to appear as if I just signed the decree and said, I impose martial law on each and every one of you. No. I asked the legislature to please pass a law proclaiming martial law because there was anarchy in the country. Now, let me say this. The opposition was strong. And they were members of the Security Council, and somehow they had adopted a resolution which required that there be a unanimous vote for the armed forces to be able to move. And therefore the armed forces was immobilized. At the same time, I asked the opposition party to come and join me in a coalition government. I offered 1/2 of the cabinet. And of course they laughed at me and said, why should we join you? We're going to take over the government. By the time you are through with the exercise, you're dead. politically and otherwise. So, and they refused to join me. I asked the advice of the judiciary. I asked the Supreme Court justices, the Court of Appeals justices, and the members of the private sector. And all of them told me there's only one man who can proclaim martial law, and that is the President. And you are it. You are the only one who can proclaim martial law. This is why I must carry this particular mark in our history. I could not have transferred it to the legislature. Why? Because the legislature did not have the power. What does the Constitution provide? The President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and he may order the armed forces out to quell any disorder, riot, rebellion, invasion, insurrection, and in case of invasion, insurrection, rebellion, or imminent danger thereof, when the public safety requires it, he may suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus or proclaim martial law throughout the Philippines or any part thereof. What does that provision provide? It provides that only the President can proclaim martial law. I repeat, that is why I had to assume responsibility. And I am not one for shirking duty. The people said there was necessity for proclaiming martial law. And the people said, you are the only official who can proclaim martial law. So I proclaimed martial law. And I sincerely believed that it was necessary to proclaim martial law to install order and stability, because there was complete anarchy throughout the country at the time. Now, therefore, at that particular period, what was the status of our government? Our government was immobilized, impotent. The armed forces could not move out. The industry was not at all in any way moving. There was no income coming into government. Everybody was running away. They burned the U.S. Partly burned the U.S. embassy, tried to burn it anyway. They tried to kidnap the American ambassador. American ambassador was Ambassador Byroad. And they tried to kidnap our foreign minister, Romulo, whom you just saw today. And I told him, you better disappear because I will not ransom you. But whatever it is, they burned the Manila International Airport, they bombed the Supreme Court, they bombed the Constitutional Convention, they bombed the City Hall, they burned part of Malacanang Palace, they attempted to kidnap my children, they attempted to kill the President 8 times. There was, of course, an attempted assassination against the First Lady. You all know about that. And this required that I immediately act on it, and so I did.